Hello, everyone. Today I'm here with Greg Clifford, the great musician from Ireland. Uh, he participated in our festival 2 times. Yeah, am I right, Greg?
Correct, yeah.
Yes, and today we are going to talk about your music and your music background and everything. So maybe let's start with a question. When has it all started? And did you know then that you'll be living off music?
I would imagine it began sometime when I was in my mother's womb. I think, like, right from the start, my whole life, I had a strong musical presence and influence around me. Oh, there we go. all my, like, the majority of my early photographs as a child is with me with an instrument or some kind of musical device or appliance. Um, like my dad was in a band, and that kind of like there was always music in the house, always music being played. Other band members staying in the house, so I think I just inherited that kind of creative spark from my parents. Really, I think the next picture as well shows me with there I am, cute little bald head on me. But the next picture actually then is of my dad playing with a band in 1985. That's the one there. That's him on the right playing the guitar. So yeah, like it was just a really vibrant house to grow up in, creatively speaking. Uh, so yeah, I just kind of got bitten by the bug at an early age, and music is always what I wanted to do. I always had dreams of being on a stage and in a band, and I just got caught up in that, and that kind of became my path, I suppose, in life. What's the next photograph? Oh, the next photograph is me, aged 9. Yeah, that's me there. It's a strange photograph in that it makes me look like a left-hand guitarist, but the
A little
photograph
bit.
the photograph is actually flipped around for that article. So it's not like I could play both left and right hand or anything like that. But yeah, that's me, aged 9, playing a concert. I think I started taking music lessons around the age of 7, and then
Mhm.
guitar probably around the age of 8 or 9. So yeah, it's kind of always been a massive, massive part of my life.
And why you were in a newspaper? Is there some special event or?
This event, well, it's a local newspaper, so there was a concert going on in the music school that I studied and learned in, and yeah, I think they just put on some kind of music marathon. It's a long time ago. I was 9. I can't remember the exact details. But
Yeah.
yeah, just so from that point on, I never stopped studying music. I don't like I haven't ceased my studies now either. Really, there's always something new to learn and something new to kind of weave into the next project and the next album. So the next photograph, actually, that's me in 2010. So I studied music in college, in university. So I did 3 years for a master's, and then that is 2010 when I got my. Uh, sorry, I did a bachelor for 3 years, and then that's my master's, and that was I studied contemporary composition. So that's kind of like studying like like Stravinsky and uh, Stockhausen and lots of different kind of composers, and before that even in Bach, Tchaikovsky, Wagner. So this is all. It's not just rock. It's just not rock and pop that I do. I can kind of draw from many different sources of inspiration. And then the
And
next photograph. Sorry, I'm just going on a rant here. That's from 2008. So in college, when I was in university, I studied a lot of classical guitar. So that's like a nylon string guitar, finger picking. And that particular photograph is from 2008 when I was playing with a guitar ensemble, a 25-piece guitar ensemble called Diversus. And that was in a big concert hall in Dublin. So that was an amazing experience, really, to be playing such complex classical music, but also to learn of some of the other fantastic players that were in that group. And we had people from not just Ireland, but Denmark, Germany, Switzerland, and they were fantastic players, like really, really incredible. And I learned a lot from being around them, their approach, their philosophy, and even being around them kind of made me realize that I didn't really have the true want or love for classical guitar to be exclusively a classical guitarist, but I certainly learned a lot from it that I channeled into later life. Sorry, I've done a lot of talking.
Well, that's good. And what at the beginning, was it just for fun, as a hobby, or like did you know that it was it and you just went like?
Yeah, I'd say like I didn't start to think of it as something that could be potentially serious until probably the age of 18, maybe. Before that, it was certainly just a hobby. But I suppose maybe deep down in me, I knew I was kind of building and working towards something. Like I was trying to equip myself with the. Ah, yeah, actually, this is an appropriate picture to put up. This was a really important chapter, a 6-year chapter in my life, actually. So it was a 3-piece rock band called Elevator, kind of a Brit pop influence, kind of a punky aesthetic, not in sound, but definitely the style. It was quite kind of aggressive and gritty and raw. So we began in 2006. So around that time is when I was like, I'm actually pretty good at this. I'm decent at writing a song. I started working on my stage presence. We started to get a couple of people coming to the gigs, which was really cool. Maybe we can get another photograph up there just to show off our 3 beautiful faces. Here we go. There we go. So that was one of our promotional photographs, probably taken in 2007 or 2008. So we did quite well as an underground kind of band in Ireland. We'd get about 150, 200 people to the shows, and it was pure rock and roll. Like the next photograph is a live image of us playing, but we you know, it was kind of like almost cliched rock and roll. Like we used to get barred from venues for like smashing up amps and instruments and letting off fire extinguishers and acting the bollocks. But it was a great like education and apprenticeship into music and stage presence. So yeah, Elevator was a really important period in my life. We broke up in 2012. We broke up on stage, actually.
Oh, how?
I suppose probably for about a year, myself and the bass player had a conflict of interest and maybe directions as to where the band was going. Clash of egos, maybe. So yeah, we used to have quite a kind of a tempestuous relationship, and yeah, I felt, look, at the time he wasn't practicing enough, and he was making too many mistakes on stage, and like we had we had thrown punches at each other before at a live gig, which is a great source of entertainment for the audience, you know. And I think just one night it erupted, and he left. He walked off stage mid gig. But it's okay. It's okay. We're all friends now. We're all friends. I actually play football with him now.
Okay.
And there's one more photograph of a live gig coming up. Yeah, that's me running a beer bottle up my guitar.
And after the Elevator, did you were a part of some other group, or you just played solo?
After well, actually, I had kind of preempted Elevator ending. I kind of thought things were a little bit frayed, the relationship, and just the level of interest maybe wasn't there from everyone collectively. So I'd actually started working on a solo album. So I had kind of set the wheels in motion for what was coming. But it was a tricky transition, to be honest. Like I really enjoyed being in Elevator, and I kind of felt I had this band of brothers. We had an audience, like we had a cult following. So I felt kind of empowered by that, but maybe I was also kind of hiding behind that facade. So when I went solo, it was just me, my acoustic guitar, and kind of nowhere to hide. I felt very exposed on a stage. It also kind of that's I'll discuss that photograph in a moment. But just in keeping with this solo transition, I it also kind of highlighted how weak my voice was really. Like I had a singing voice appropriate for a rock kind of group, but when it was acoustic guitar, the frailties were exposed, and it was something that I kind of grew quite self-conscious of. There was times when I was like, should I pack this in? Should I start another band? But I just persevered. You know, I knew music is what I wanted to do. Now, maybe after a year, 2 years doing the solo thing, I felt it kind of got a little bit stale. It stagnated a small bit. So then the next photograph is an example of when I started doing session guitar work. So I would play with other bands and other singers. One, because it was a source of income, but it was also nice to just be involved in other projects that I didn't have to be the musical director, or I didn't have to be the fulcrum and kind of carrying that burden, the weight of expectation and the weight of hope. So that's I don't know what year that is, maybe 20. I can never remember, is that 2013 or 2014? But I'm just playing with an Irish singer. She's a pop singer, Samantha Munda. This photograph, I'm on the left. You can see my bass face. I'm really getting into it. That's an EP launch with my good friend Kieran Brennan. So he's a singer songwriter as well. You can check his stuff out actually on Spotify. And that night, yeah, he released his 3-track EP. So he wanted to put a band together. So yeah, just a few mates, a few musician mates, and I said I'll play bass. And again, it was just really nice to be involved in a project where I don't have to be the chief, you know, the one, the captain of the ship. So let's see what's next up. Oh, the next photograph. This is a rather surreal and strange one. I used to play with a piss take parody Irish kind of trad rock band for like 4 years. We used to gig in Switzerland. We do 2 or 3 tours every year, and it was just chaotic. It was just parody. It was basically me being like a silly leprechaun man. So although, like, you know, I can be serious and life is serious, and I like studying and like working hard and stuff like that, I also like to have fun. You know, I think it's important to make fun of yourself. And what I loved about gigging in Switzerland was I kind of really bought into liberation and departure. I kind of left Greg Clifford at home in Dublin, and I adopted a different character. And my character's name was Paudine O'Rafferty. So it was funny. Like, like some of the gigs were terrible, which is hard to believe. Like, there was 4 good musicians in the band. We all studied. We all have masters and different, like, you know, just years of experience. But the music we played was so bad because we used to get so drunk and we just had total apathy for it. Like the shows would descend into chaos and just sometimes noise and dancing with the audience. And but the crowd loved us. Like they were some of the best paid gigs I've ever played in my life. And actually, I've signed more autographs as Paudine O'Rafferty than I have as Greg Clifford in my life. So maybe there's cause for a revival of me as Paudine at some point in my life. But I'm actually writing a book at the moment about just recounting some of the kind of crazy and wild times that I experienced. So yeah, that's just another little project I have on the go. The next photograph. Sorry, Julie, do you have a question? Sorry, I'm hogging it all.
Oh, just talk about your photos. It's really interesting, actually.
This one is, of course, with my good friend Barry J. Hughes, and that was taken at last year's festival in Rudislanska. So yeah, look. As I say, I really enjoy collaborations and working with different people because it's nice to just when I'm doing my own solo thing, it can be kind of a lonely experience at times because you're the songwriter. I'm recording the majority of the instruments. I'm like acting as my manager, the booking agent, doing the PR and the online social media stuff. So it's nice to just change it up. I met Barry back at the end of 2016, ahead of before we set off on doing a 17 gig tour of Ireland, which is called the Back to Basics tour. There's a documentary up on YouTube if people are interested in seeing that. So with Barry, yeah, I've made some music videos with him. I've played some back in Cahan for gigs, and yeah, and we've travelled over to Poland on 2 occasions. And yeah, you know yourself firsthand how much of a good friendship myself and Barry have.
Yeah, we could all see that like lately on our festival in Rudeslanska.
Yeah, I like to wind them up a little bit. And then, so we're coming to the final 3 photographs. This next one, this is an interesting one actually. That's in 2012. I was actually on an Irish music program on Irish television. And for the very final task and challenge, we had to, it was obviously a show about music. It was called Instrumental. And I was given the clarinet. So we all had to learn an instrument that we never played before. And we had to learn it we had like 3 to 4 months to learn. So the final challenge was to play the clarinet being accompanied by the RTE Concert Orchestra. And what made it particularly special was I actually wrote the piece of music that was played on the night, which was incredible. Like that wasn't part of the challenge, but I did say to the chief arranger of the orchestra, I said to him, could I actually write my own piece? Because I've studied orchestration in college. Like I'm familiar with how that all works. And I've written for orchestra, but I've never got the piece of music played by an orchestra. So here was a real life, tangible opportunity to have that experience. And I don't know if you're familiar with it or go to orchestral gigs, but the sound of a full orchestra is just incredible. It's just stunning. Like it just makes the hair stand up in your arms. So that was amazing, to be honest. The next photograph is, yeah, so aside from just doing my own kind of popular rock, Greg Clifford singer-songwriter thing, I also work on contemporary classical music, which is what I studied for my master's back in 2010. And this is in Sun Studio, which is where I do a lot of my recording work. So that was a piece, what was that piece called? A Sacrifice in 3 Movements. So that's also on my YouTube channel. And it's just kind of experimental. It's a little bit different. It's kind of more of a challenging listen. It's instrumental, but it's something that I like doing, and it's something that I'm going to continue to do. And then the very final photograph is just kind of a little bit of shameless plug-in and promotion. It's the cover to my 2017 album that was released in 2017. It's called Quadlibet. I know a few people in Rudeslanska have already kindly purchased this CD, which is excellent. If people would like to buy it online, you can do so on gregclifford.bandcamp.com. So that's the link if anyone wants to purchase some music. And I guess that's a fair insight into my kind of musical journey and whatnot, and the different projects that I've been involved in.
And after all those years, how would you classify your music now?
Eclectic and ever-changing. I think for the most recent album, I mean, it's certainly some kind of acoustic singer-songwriter, but I do try to inject elements of some classical music, a little bit of electronic. I don't know. I never know how to classify myself. I kind of think that's almost other people's job to classify. I'm kind of just, I could just consider myself a musician. I have many different sources of inspiration and genres and styles that I can kind of draw upon and work and weave into my music. So honestly, I haven't a clue. I just consider myself a creator and a musician, and that's a long-winded answer for you.
Okay, and people can watch your music videos on YouTube and listen to you on Spotify, but there are some videos that we can watch now, so maybe we'll get started.
Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, the first video, I'll just give you a small introduction. It's called I Will Make This Up to You. It was filmed by my dad in summer 2018. So actually, all the videos that you're going to see are filmed by my dad and myself, and then we edit them. We're called Clifford Productions. So we make which is really really cool to actually work with my dad, who was a major source of inspiration in my life anyway from a very young age, because he's just such a true creator and artist. Not only was he in a band, but he's a graphic designer, and he was a performance artist actually back in the early 80s. So yeah, obviously I just inherited it and caught that influence from him. But so yeah, it's really wonderful to work on a new art form and medium with him. We filmed a video in Sligo, which is in the west of Ireland. It's a really beautiful coastal enchanted county and part of Ireland. So he was born there as well. So it's just a county and a place that means a lot to the family. We're very close to it, like we feel some kind of pull to that area. In terms of what the song is about, briefly, it's kind of about making mistakes, which we all do. We are impure as humans, there's no escaping that. We make mistakes, but it's how we kind of endeavor to do better. We tell ourselves we're going to do better and we strive to do better, but so often we fall back into patterns and routines, possibly because we haven't been humble enough, we haven't removed the ego, or maybe it's just because there's familiarity in certain routines. So this song is just kind of reflecting about that. So yeah, roll the tape, Wojciech.
Round and round we go, speaking words, the perpetual motion, the less we know. The rain came down, the snow to my side. I will make this up to you. I will make this up to you. Oh, I will make this up to you. I will make this up to you. Oh. Hold your head, embrace those scars. Divided we stand, divided we stand, divided we stand, divided we stand, divided we stand. Hold your life. I will make this up to you. I will make this up to you. Oh, I will make this up to you. I will make this up to you. Oh, no sting that do you no good. You always knew that you were. You always knew that you were. All those things that do us no good. You always knew that you were. We always knew that we would. Oh, I will make this up. to you. Oh, I will make this up to you. I will make this up to you. Oh.
Okay, so you told us something about the inspiration, but how do people react after listening to this particular song?
Usually I get a standing ovation. No, I'm joking. I think, well, I think the majority, I suppose you'd have to ask the people, but I think people quite enjoy that song. Um, it's one that I kind of like because there's some kind of subtle musical complexity worked into it. Actually, one of my kind of main objectives is to have music that has a certain accessibility, like it's kind of catchy on some level, but also something that kind of has integrity or complexity, like in this case, just changing time signatures, and there's kind of peculiar chords and descending chromatic bass note movement.
Okay, so now Open Fire, your latest song.
Open Fire is my most recently released song. Yes, it is. You've done your homework.
Yeah.
This one, this one was released back in, I suppose, February, I think. I just wrote it at the start of the year. Actually, it's a breakup song. It's a love song. But I wrote it at the start.
So it is about your experience, yeah?
It is a completely autobiographical song. Yes, it's about my own experience. Yeah. So like it's a strange one because like it's really actually I have a peculiar relationship with the song because I really like the song, but the song came about because of negative circumstances and sadness in my life, But it was important to write the song because it kind of helped me contextualize what was going on and provided some kind of psychological relief. It helped me kind of own my emotions, and it kind of helped me be vocal about it and not recoil and not keep it all locked up inside. So what was interesting as well was I sat down at the piano and it kind of just came out of me inside 20 minutes. So I didn't even sit at the piano to specifically write a song. I was just like, I need to just play just to kind of escape a little bit and just to soothe myself. And then these lyrics and these chords just prevailed. And I was like, this is really cool. Something's happening. I sent it on to my mate, Ian Flynn, who's also the engineer and co-producer of the latest album. And he said to me, Greg, finish this. And I was like, yeah, of course, I plan on finishing everything. And he was like, no, finish it, because let's get it on the album. And the song was written like a week and a half before going into the studio to finish the album. So it ended up being a late addition and a late offering to the album. And it's probably the most radio-friendly, catchy song on it, So it's amazing how like crap happens in people's lives, but I'm quite fortunate that I have this vehicle or this kind of outlet that I can just channel myself into creatively. So yeah, an important song in my life for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so
Open fire upon my heart, limb from limb torn apart. Oh, now check yourself before you do something you regret. Oh, don't you come on, darling, express yourself. Don't you leave me hanging with these regrets. This ship is sinking, my head's a mess, my head's a mess. Patterns form, acquiesce, chasm growing, we digress. Sweet, sweet serenity, constantly eluded me. Won't you come on, darling, express yourself. Don't you leave me hanging with these regrets. This ship is sinking. My head's a mess. My head's a mess. Won't you come on, darling, express yourself. Don't you leave me hanging with these regrets. This ship is sinking. My head's a mess. My head's a mess. Won't you come on, darling, expose yourself. Don't you leave me hanging on when you've been with someone else. Our ship is sinking. My head's a mess. My head's a mess. Open fire.
And Greg, how did you come up with the idea of the video for You're Out of Time song?
Ah, the video for You're Out of Time. That's good fun. That was probably okay. So when I was about 5 or 6, I was given this. I was given this as a birthday present, which I thought was the coolest thing in the world, because I was like, I can record myself. So if I can record myself, that means I'll get famous. But it was cool to be able to hear myself back. And like the earliest recording I have of myself is aged 7. So like it's always been something that I've been into, writing music. But I used to stand in front of the mirror with this, like as a kid, kind of singing and just pretending like that I was famous, that I was on a stage. So the video is kind of a parody. It's making some light fun of myself, because the dreams and the plans that I had didn't really actualize. They didn't really happen. So I'm still kind of that guy that sings in the shower or in front of the mirror, hoping that someday I'll be a household name. So it's just a bit of fun. Also, I really wanted to make a music video, but I had no budget. I had no concept for a music video, and I kind of had limited time to make it. So I was like, what can I do? Right, I'll just take my top off and just pretend I'm in front of the mirror after a shower. So I guess that's it, really. It's the opening track on the album as well. It's the opening track on Quadlibet, which was the album that came out in 2017.
And I was just like 2 years ago, when you first came to Redashonska, I was just like binge listening to this song on Spotify, actually. And that's my favorite song of yours.
Oh, that's cool. It's strange because I don't actually play it that often. And the reason why I don't play it that often is I don't think it translates so well to just voice and guitar, which is sometimes the problem of being a solo artist. Like I love being a solo artist in that I can kind of make a decision and go, I'm going to make a song like that, or I could just completely go on impulse and compulsion. While if you're in a band, you have to have this kind of write songs that are for the style and kind of for the look of the band and all that. But when I play on my own, I don't have the financial resources to get a full band around me. I can't pay all these session musicians. And that means like that song that you're about to hear has a big production. You know, there's synths, there's drums, there's backing vocals. I can't create that as one person on a stage. So sometimes I often think of myself as a cover act. I'm like a cover act or a tribute act of myself. when I'm on stage, because I can't completely do the songs justice that they are on the album. But sure, that's just the one of the stumbling or hurdles that you encounter as an unsigned DIY independent musician.
Okay, so let's listen.
myopically that you can now be free. You see, it's just how you want them to be. You seem so vacant when she's there, vacant in your stare. You feel like you are 10 feet tall. When the push comes to shove, you start doing a runner and a hide. Comes a calling with the hurricane coming. You love, you fight, you lust all through your life. But you miss the buzz, the song that you love too much. It's self-charge and no sugar that over life. Now you see, you know you're out of time. You suffer badly with your pride. Feel like you're being defied, but the world can't always find it to you. Why can't you open your heart and open your mind if you want? Pretty hands to heaven to the sky. You love, you fight, you lust all through your life. But you miss the buzz, the song that you love too much. Self-charge and no sugar, Casanova life. Now you see, you know you're out of time. You're out of time. You're out of time. You're out of
Okay, and what can you tell us about your next song?
But the next song, the next song is called "Where Are We Going?" and I wrote this in September 2016, and it was kind of an interesting writing process because my dad actually showed me a film called Battleship Potemkin. It's from 1926, and there's just one particular sequence in it, or kind of passage called the Odessa Step sequence, where like the film is about an uprising against the Tsarist government, and like in this sequence, the soldiers are like really machine-like, and they descend down onto the civilians, and it's kind of like gruesome blood. They open fire on the civilians, women and children, and all that, and it's just quite kind of it's quite harrowing. And he said, why don't you write some music or write a song kind of influenced by this? So I thought it was an interesting kind of framework to explore, because sometimes a lot of songwriting is you either say to yourself, I've got an idea, I should put it down, or I hear another piece of music and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't mind doing something like that. So after my dad showed me this film, that's become a new process or a new method for me that I often write songs based on films and literature now. But what else did I want to say about the film? Like it was very controversial. It was banned. It was even banned by Stalin. He was so kind of terrified by it. So the idea was just to have kind of introspective music to accompany the really harsh imagery. So I guess that was kind of the idea.
Soft and sweet and sound, often deceiving, leaves us so confused, feel like we're failing. I could not describe how I am feeling, and I could not decide where are we going. Now the leaves have fallen, are you depleted? Leaders must move on, but it's not easy. I could not describe how I am feeling. I could not decide where are we going.
Okay, so it's almost the end of our interview or chat.
Sadly, this is true.
Yeah, so Greg, where can people listen to you live? Of course, except for our festival.
Where can people hear me live? God, I don't know. When it depends on when music venues and pubs kind of open around the world. But in the meantime, you can download my music from this platform, Bandcamp, or of course the usual iTunes and Spotify. And also I have my website, greatcliffordmusic.com. So that's where my new stuff is going to be going. And like I have an album, a new album, which will be released definitely by this time next year anyway. And to accompany the CD, there will be a book. I've written a book about the songs, like a 13,000 word book. And also I'm making a documentary, a small 30-minute kind of making of the album documentary. So I've been kept busy in these COVID times.
And we can also look for some information about you on Facebook, on your
Yes,
page.
of course.
Yeah.
I do. I keep my Facebook regularly updated, and also on Instagram. Actually, yeah, hit me up on Instagram, people. I need to get more followers. I hate social media in ways. Like back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, bands could just write music, could just perform and write music. I didn't have to care about social media. Social media kind of gets in the way sometimes of the creative process and clarity in your mind, and it's so superficial. But alas, it is a necessary evil, and it's a part of the modern context. So yeah,
Yeah.
give me those numbers, people. Give me likes.
Okay. Follow him on Instagram and Facebook, and that's it. Thanks for today.
Thanks so much, Julia. It's great to see you again, and hopefully I'll see you next year in the flesh in Poland when
Yeah,
normality is
hopefully.
restored.
Thank
Brilliant.
you.
Thanks so much.